All right, man. We're live. Hey, this is Pete H. Turner, executive producer and host of the Break It Down Show.
That's right.
I'm going to point at you now. You can introduce yourself.
Yeah, and this is John Leon Guerrero. We have the distinct pleasure today of talking to two of our favorite soul singers and then introducing the song of an emerging new artist that we feel really strongly about, whose stuff is just terrific. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say anything lightly. So really, really excited. And there he is, Cornell Carter CC. How you doing, man?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
It's been a minute.
Dang, man. What's good? Last time I saw you, man, you didn't have that much hair, so it must have been.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? This is COVID hair, man. I just, I didn't want to get COVID from scissors.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
decided to just let it go, and then it got the better of me. But something else that I wanted to talk to you specifically about is that since the last time I saw you, I have probably put on about 30 pounds of that and shed myself of about 80 pounds of body fat.
80.
And I did that in large part because of the conversation that you and I had where you said, I'm about to get real serious about this.
Yep.
And we can't just sound the part. We got to be the part.
Right.
And I think what you said was you had to look the part, but I knew what you meant. I mean,
right.
The all-encompassing package. And I was so inspired by that conversation and by the way that you looked the last time I saw you, which I think was at Yoshi's, man, a couple of years ago. But man, you just looked great. And I thought, man, Cece's out there doing it. I can't let him do it alone.
Well,
so
man,
I have to thank you for that inspiration.
Come in here and break up your fat old man conversation.
There you go, Pete.
I got to bring in the hotness. We got to introduce Sage Logan to the world because Cece, one of the things we get to do today is there's this new artist that we're excited about. Her name is Sage Logan. There she is right there. Sage.
Hey.
She's dropping this week, and it's hella good. And she's in your genre along with Matt. Matt is working on coming in right now. But I thought we'd all say hi to Sage and welcome her. And she can. Now, CC can sing anything. Sage can sing anything. And it's just great to be able to connect you two. So, hey, Sage, welcome to the Break It Down Show. Welcome to the big world. And congrats on this badass single you got.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys too.
Yeah.
Matt Boy coming in the studio. I'm going to back out of the way and let John do most of the talking. I'm just going to get my beautiful face off the screen and let John go crazy.
Oh, is that how it is? Well, I really want to spend a lot of time on CC and Matt, but while we have Sage, because we wanted to introduce her single to the world, I'm going to say this. Pete told me about you, Sage, earlier this week. And he said, hey, let me send you this sound file. I want you to listen to it. And he says that all the time. We trade sound files all the time. And we are so skeptical at this point. And I know that Matt and CC would join me on this, but it's a lot of times we just get so much. We're inundated with so many songs from people, and it's usually not that exciting. And I thought, oh, here we go. Another emerging new artist, blah, blah, blah. And I clicked on that thing. I hit the play button. And from the first note, I was surprised. I was very pleased. I was drawn in, and I thought, you know what? This is the only adjective that I really came up with right out of the gate was, this is very strong.
Oh, thank you.
And so I really appreciate what you're doing. And I know you're doing it in, you're not spending $100,000 at Capitol. You're recording with the resources that you've got. And, and so it's not with any kind of levity that I say, I was really impressed. I really love the song.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Yeah. So, by way of introduction, for our listeners and viewers, two of my favorite soul singers, and now a third younger favorite soul singer, but two of my favorite soul singers, CC and Matt Hoy, are with us today. And we wanted to just put the two of you together because, we love each of you individually. And we thought, how come those guys don't know each other?
Right.
Very true.
Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you guys as well. Absolutely,
too, man.
Cornell, Sage, lovely to meet you guys.
Nice to
Pete,
meet you.
how's it going? Where's he gone? He's vanished.
Yeah, Pete has vanished.
John, how's it going,
Oh,
brother?
there he is. It's going great. So let's just go in order. Sage, tell us what you have going on right now and where you're headed in the next couple of months, what you hope to accomplish with the song that you're releasing.
Totally. I'm working with my producer. His name's Cole, but he goes by the name Boya, and he is just a musical genius, in my opinion. And I actually have another project, an album out, and that is under my legal name. So I haven't released music within the past 2 years. So throughout this time period, I've just been silently grinding and creating music. And now I'm kind of coming into this phase of completely changing my name and rebranding myself and releasing music that's very different than anything I've ever put out. And our plan is to start releasing my new single comes out this week. And then after that, we're going to start releasing a single every other month, leading through this entire year, 2022, and then 2023, we're going to drop the big album, hopefully.
Nice.
And that's the goal.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for the viewers out there, Sage is, when she says her producer's a musical genius, I'm sure we've all heard that plenty of times. Oh,
Really
yeah, my guy's a musical genius. This guy really is good. I heard a lot of things that I thought, you know what, that you could say is a tool that is cliche, and it's used in such a new and creative way. So there are things that are pop elements that you will hear in the song, but just, you know, the level of creativity, I would have to join you in saying, man, this guy is really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, fresh ideas. And I don't know who's doing what in terms of the writing and whose production influence is, you know, attached to what idea, but it really was good.
Thank you. The song has gone through so many different transformation periods. It really is just the result of us being dumb and spending hours and hours in the studio hanging out and just creating the craziest sounds and looking through the craziest sounds and even recording just weird sounds that we hear in the kitchen, and then we'll add that in or anything. And it has come out to be this amazing project that we're so proud of. So
I want you to say, oh no, that's all just things that we did on the first swing. But,
no, that's not true.
These two veterans on the screen also know the reality of that, and it doesn't get to be that strong unless you cook it down and spend the time and nurture it. Matt, how you doing?
How's it going, bro?
Yeah. What have you been up to?
I've been, do you know what? I've actually been chilling the last month or so. I haven't been doing anything. It's been so nice. I've been actually preparing for a festival that I'm doing in May 28th. It's in the north of England, and it's over 3 days. And it's a place called Ewood Park Stadium, and it's where Blackburn Rovers, the football club, play. So there's with this festival, there's going to be about 30,000 on the day, and it's a wonderful lineup. There's Boy George and Culture Club headlining, and we've got Tony Hadley from Spandau Ballet, Lee John from Imagination, Lamar, don't know if you remember Lamar with Kajagoogoo, Too Shy, and myself. So that's the Saturday lineup, you see. So I've kind of been doing lots of press and bobbing up and down England to do press launches and, you know, little bits and bobs that are needed for the festival. But yeah, I've just been keeping myself to myself and just.
Are you doing this festival as a solo act?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm actually opening the festival on the Saturday, so yeah, it's going to be fun. I've got my new band with me. I got Malcolm Joseph on bass, who played with Grace Jones.
Man, Malcolm's been on the show too. Yeah,
there you go. I got Mark Walker on keyboards, who played with Anita Baker and stuff like that. So I'm really, 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 really looking forward to this show. It's gonna. I mean, you know, the 2 years that we've been out, and to just kind of come back into this, and it's just going to be full of people I know. The crowd are going to have a party, and it's just going to be one of those really cool shows. You know, can't wait.
Terrific. That sounds great. We're going to revisit that in just a second, but I also want to touch on what CC's been up to. CC, where are you right now?
Fortunately, I'm home right now.
Okay. We never know, man.
I know, man. I'm traveling so much these days, but it's been a good ride, man. Been a good run, and we are currently still riding the wave of the album release in October called Next Life. And the funny thing about that in this industry, to still have an album relevant almost 5 months after it was released, and we're still releasing new music from it, and it's a blessing, man. So right now we're still, doing the album promo press. I have like another 6 interviews we're doing the United States version of the push for the album with some new promoters who's jumped on the project. So I've been real busy, man, with the new album. So it's been good.
Tell us who's on that album.
Well, your buddy and mine, Mr. Kirk Crumpler, the producer and bass player, Dave Scholl, who wrote a couple of tracks, just phenomenal tracks, and Larry White, from Bobby Brown, and all the different cats that we normally use, and it's been good, man.
Also a strong lineup.
Yeah.
I want to know what your take is on the fact that England loves our soul singers more than we do.
How much time you got?
Why is that?
Well, when you use a word like soul, right?
Uh-huh.
We had soul for a while here, and I grew up with it. But it seems to me like we sort of lost the soul, which is the vibration of what soul music does. And someone else across the Atlantic decided to embrace it, but keep it. We've had so many genres here in this country that we don't embrace the root. The root is soul, the root is jazz, the root is R&B. It's always going to be the root. But to let go of the root and then branch out to other things, we've lost the root. Mm-hmm. So they've taken the root and say, hey, if you still rooted, come over here. We love you. Yeah. And so they're rooted in the soul. And that's why you have such a huge soul community. And when you go over there, they know all your songs, man. When you get on stage and they're moving their lips to everything you sing, it's just like, wow, man. So it's been good.
Yeah. Good, man.
It's an appreciation.
It is an appreciation. The thing about England is you can go all the way back to, the early, if you go back to the first British invasion and the Rolling Stones, their whole business model was, we're going to play this blues music and we're going to take it back to where it came from and sell it to them.
Man, they started listening. They had pirate radio, man. They was trying to get our music over there. They started with pirate radio. Satellites up on the top of a building just to get the vibration of the soul music. So, it's a phenomenal love for what we do, man. That's why it's amazing, to see it. When you go over there and see it, it's, for anybody who's listening, if you haven't been over there, man, it's just a beautiful place to go.
Huh. Okay. Well, I'm going to probably surprise you and say that, I agree with you that we have somehow lost our soul, in to large degree. Sage.
Yes.
Have you ever been called a soul singer? Do you consider yourself a soul singer?
I don't know what I necessarily consider myself. I've been called a pop singer, an R&B singer, but I used to perform at restaurants whenever I could get the chance, and jazz and soul and blues are one of my favorite genres to listen to and sing, so I think through that department is where I...
Well, I think that these guys, once they hear your material, will be very pleasantly surprised and happy to say that somebody's grabbing the torch. Because, you guys can hear in the pipes now, just the depth in Sage's speaking voice, and when she sings, it all conveys. And the magic of song is that you translate your given instrument so that it conveys emotion. And to me, that is by definition what soul is. And what we've lost is a connection to that's meaningful, in favor of bouncy tunes that, that just lack it, that don't leave space for it.
Yeah.
And if there's something that I will say about your new single, it's beautifully sparse and it leaves room for your voice. That I imagine was on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few things were. Just a few.
Yeah.
Will you let us play a little bit of your single, even though it hasn't technically dropped yet?
Yeah, you guys can get a sneak
Do
peek.
you guys mind?
Yeah.
Do this real quick.
Let's hear it.
We'll just play some of it.
Contemplating getting over you.
I screwed something up.
Come on, Pete.
That's it?
That was it.
I'm gonna
I
work
want to
on
be
it.
more than that.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I swear she sings the instant after that sound happens. I'm not sure what it works in pre-production. Let me work on that. I'm gonna disappear while you guys talk.
Okay.
All right.
You work on that for a little while, but that was really what captured me. Right from there, I went, oh, okay. She's not afraid to be exposed. Because the beginning of the song was your voice and this very sparse, rhythmic bounce. I thought, okay. And then as the song, progressed, naturally it got thicker and it started to blossom. But it didn't blossom in a way that that created any obstacle. It remained open. And the highlight of the blossoming was the blossoming of your performance in the song.
Wow, thank you.
So how's that?
Oh my gosh. I'm so happy. This is the first feedback I've really gotten because it hasn't really dropped yet. So I'm very, very grateful.
Okay. We're going to blame Pete for messing that up, but at some point we're going to listen to more of it. And I'm just going to keep going down the line. So CC.
Yeah.
What do you got going on as far as performances coming up? How booked is your spring? Where are you going? What are you doing?
I'm here. I leave at the end of April, heading back to the UK. I have some dates booked there in May and June. With the travel, we as American citizens, we get a 90-day maximum time frame. So I try to put in as many dates and let the promoters know when I'm over there. And so I get to squash in enough dates while I'm still there. So yeah, end of April, I'm heading back and just did Yoshi's a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that was cool. That was, man, it's been a trip because, everybody's now starting to feel like they can go out again. So we've had to survive that period of people being reluctant to go out. So it's great to now see people say, okay, I think I'll go out again. So the schedules are kind of getting busy because of everybody now wanting to go out. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Looking forward to connecting with those audiences. What I know about CC that the rest of you haven't witnessed is that, he's a great singer. His songs are touching. They're moving, and his voice is wonderful, but he's also a magnificent frontman. And the way that you take a crowd on a journey, man, it's so much fun because it is a collective experience. It's one of those things where I know you're connecting with me. I know your singing is, your subject matter, your songs, your everything is connecting with me. But then I look around, I look to my left and right, and there's somebody right next to me who's equally connected. We're going on the ride together. So, seeing you in a room like Yoshi's, or practically anywhere, because I've seen you in teeny tiny rooms as well, as you know.
Man. Yeah, man.
And, those tiny rooms, sometimes you're like, well, I'm not, clearly I'm going to connect with somebody because I'm right on top of everybody.
Right.
But the ability that you have that has drawn me to you from the beginning, even aside from any of your music, has been your ability to just grab us and say, no, you're coming with me.
Right. Because technically it is a journey. Technically it is, there's a whole lot of things that I attribute this to. But to be able to open up for James Brown, to be able to open up for Ray Charles, to be able to see iconic figures. So I went to school a long time ago, being able to watch the great ones do it and then grow up to a point where now I'm opening up for these giants. So it's sort of advantageous that I've been able to be in the same arenas with some phenomenal, the Whispers, the Temptations. So, you know, Jon, we've been privy to be around some great entertainers. But the one thing that I've learned from all of them is that you have to engage your soul. It's a reciprocation. And if they see that you mean what you're singing, if they see that you have their best interest in heart and not your ego, then it becomes we all in this room together. So, you know, my favorite saying is, hey, man, we're just in the living room with mom and the family.
Yeah.
So I take that same mentality, if it's 10 people, if it's 2,000 people, that we all in the living room just having a good time.
Yeah, that definitely comes through. That feeling, that sentiment is definitely pervasive. Matt, speak to the same kind of control of your audience, the same kind of take us on a journey. You're about to play a festival where there's going to be, I don't know, man, just the acts that you describe. I imagine this festival is going to house tens of thousands, and
it's 30,
a lot of people.
30,000, yeah.
Yeah.
It's, do you know what? Honestly, I mean, I don't know if CC will agree with me on this, but I sometimes feel easier the bigger the gig, because when it's the smaller, more close-up environment, and you can see the whites of their eyes, you kind of feel the scrutiny a little bit more, the pressure, you know what I mean? But once you're in a bigger venue and they're further back, you know they're there, but you can kind of relax and do your own thing. So I'm not too worried about the big. Plus, doing all the shows with UB40 and everything, I mean, traveling with those guys, they do arenas all, so you kind of get used to it. You get used to that environment, and once, like CC said, it's like being in your living room. That stage is always set out exactly the same way, so you kind of get used to the diameters of it. And you could be in Tokyo, you could be in Hawaii, you could be in Australia. That stage is your living room. You're exactly right, you know. So it doesn't matter where you are, you know. And that's the fun bit. And then you kind of, once you're comfortable, and I think the main thing is like, once you've got a sound that you're comfortable with, and you can feel like you can perform with it, because you get something in your ears or your monitors that you're not happy with, or that's bugging you and you can't relax and all that kind of, that's when the show is ruined for me. But once everything's glowing warm, that's when I'm happy. And then, yeah, it definitely, what CC says, it turns into your living room then.
I used to have a gig rug that was and man, I lost this gig rug on a truck. It went away. I don't have it anymore, and thankfully I don't need it anymore. But for a while there, it was almost like my security blanket. I would look down and I would see the pattern of the rug, and like you said, no matter where you went, that was your living room. I was okay. Here's my rug. Here's my kit. I'm doing what I always do. Do you have? Is there a piece of that stage that you reference at points in the performance where you go, yeah, I got to go to this place, and this thing brings me to this place?
I think it depends on who you're playing with. I mean, when I was with Ali and the boys, Winston Delandro, who is the guitarist, and Winston has played with some giants. You know, he's played with Bob Marley, he's played with Johnny Nash, and Winston he's about 75 now. But Winston was always my we was just to mess about and have fun on stage. He was always my crutch, and whenever the show was going badly or the crowd weren't receptive, or it was just, you know, one of those kind of gigs, we would just start messing about ourselves on stage, and in the end it kind of rubbed off on the audience, and they started laughing, and it all started to, you know. But I think it does depend on who you're with. When I'm solo, I think it's the angles and the person in the band that you are most secure with, that you kind of keep checking in with and make sure everything's going okay. But you just got to ride the storm sometimes, I think, you know. I think you've done it enough. You've really got to ride the storm. I mean, CC will know, and Sage has got all this to look forward to, you know.
Yes, she does.
Yeah. So Sage, talk about what you have to look forward to. I mean, you're busy making music. Do you have any live dates coming up that are booked? What are you looking forward to?
Not right now, no. But I actually I went to a performing arts high school, or a program within my high school, that was for performing arts. So I really had the biggest blessing of being able to perform like main stage shows all throughout high school and really learn so much about the industry and music through that program. It's called MMET. It stands for Music, Media, Entertainment, and Technology. And you can either audition as like vocalist, an instrumentalist, or a media side. And they just teach you everything about basically being like becoming a pop singer or a pop artist or doing the media behind like big shows and stuff like that. So I've really been blessed to have that experience behind my back.
In your live performance, how much is movement calculated?
So much. Yeah, calculated. It's very true. Yeah, I definitely like pre-plan where I'm going during what sections of the song and who I'm looking to in the audience. And yeah. And Matt said it perfectly, like there's always someone in the band that you're like checking in with 24/7. Like, are we good? Is this the vibe?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, when that person's not, you know, looking good, that's when you start panicking there.
Yeah, seriously. They give you the look and you're like, crap.
Man.
I just yesterday, I don't know why, but I just went back to that very first big concert Super Bowl performance. And I can't remember exactly what year it was, in the early 80s or something, but it was, no, not early 80s. It was in the late 80s. And it was Michael Jackson. Right after Dangerous came out. And what happened was there was a big thing during the Super Bowl halftime show where another network said, I bet you we could steal the Super Bowl viewers by offering something better than some, you know, ice skating extravaganza or some whatever they were doing back then. And so they had In Living Color do this whole, you know, comedy blowout. And it was specifically timed, like during the halftime Super Bowl show that we know you 200 million people are going to be bored with. Click over here and watch this. It'll be better. And they did. And so people won. So the following year, the Super Bowl said, oh, we got to blow it out. What are we going to do? So it was the late 80s. What do? You call Michael Jackson. So they called Michael Jackson and he said, okay, I'll do it. And then, you know, of course, it's Michael, so he had to do it his way. So he had this whole intro thing where, you know, it was a big buildup, and then he came shooting out of the stage in the toaster. And then he stood there. And he stood there for like a minute, a full minute. And his cue was to Jennifer Batten, the guitarist. And he said, you don't move a muscle until I break my wrist. And when I break my wrist, that's when you come in. And so he popped out and he froze, and he made America and the world stare at him completely still for a full minute. And Jennifer Batten was like, come on. She even said something. She was like, Michael. And nope, I'm staying right here. And you just wait until I do my thing. And for a full minute, we were all captivated. And then he launched into his thing and she was like, oh, thank God. And then come to find out that not only was she waiting on his cue, but he would also reference her the same way. Like not that he needed a North Star, but you know, whenever he needed to check on how the band was doing, she was the reference point. Mm-hmm. So, you know, these tips and tricks that you guys tell us that you've taken from your performance experiences, from, you know, the wisdom of those who've come before, they happen in the smallest places all the way up to the biggest places. The smallest place, I watched CC play in a place where there was a trombone player, and if he went out, CC had to go.
Yes.
And still we managed to get, I mean, that place was the size of a middle school broom closet.
Yep.
And you still would get 200 people in that place.
Squeeze, man. Squeeze.
Full horn section.
9-piece band in a small little closet place. But
and choreography.
Yes. But that's what you do. That's what you do in you know, as you entertain, you might be entertaining in someone's living room or whatever it is, you have to adapt to it.
Yeah. So the living room concept being what it is, CC, in your travels, because you have, like you said, you know, you played here recently, here at Yoshi's back home, and then you've been playing a lot in England since the kind of tail end of the last few months, and man, before COVID, you were going crazy over there.
Man, I was in Spain, Croatia. It was all over the UK. So it was madness. And then COVID came.
Yeah.
But it was cool.
So how much are you able to replicate when it comes to your show and your setup and your and your band? How much are you able to, take people out consistently and provide that consistent environment?
Well, I generally like to take, wear the captain's hat, and because I know what I want it to sound like, and I know how I want it presented. But you have to have the type of musicians who not only you trust, but they trust you. And the biggest key to any front man is you guys got to allow me to be out front without having to turn around to look at you. Because I'm out here on the island and everybody's looking at me. So as long as you guys are doing your part and I don't have to turn around, and that's what all those rehearsals are for. So I think we do the majority of our work and all the task mastering during rehearsals. So when it comes time for the performance, no one's thinking about anything except putting the show together. So it's really about having musicians who trust you and you trust them.
Yeah, for sure. And then I have to ask, just from my own knowledge, who's playing drums with you lately?
Brian Brazil.
Yeah, very nice.
And Brian, he's been with Larry Graham for years, and then of course he went to Dr. John, rest in peace, and of course with Prince and all those other guys. But that cat is, like Richie. Yeah. Since Richie's with the Whispers predominantly, Brian is that pocket guy, man. He's such a pocket player. And if you got a drummer that can stay in the pocket, that is a singer's dream. I mean, for me personally, and for the young lady, when you got the guy, he's the quarterback. I know I'm the front guy, but the band is only going to be as good as the drummer.
Yeah.
Period. If the drummer's laying it in there, everybody's following him. So the big seat is generally the drummer, Jon.
I appreciate that. Hey, we're in my office, and along with my desk in my office, of course.
Yes.
So
see,
that's just right behind me.
You see,
wherever I live.
That's the key, man.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, Matt.
Yeah.
What say you about when it comes to live performance and when it comes to the ability to rest and know that you have the confidence to do what you need to do? How do you lean on your band, and what do you depend on from them?
I think the thing for me is, I'm slightly different to CC on this. But neither of us are right, neither of us are wrong. I think it's just your own personal choice of what makes you comfortable when you're out there. I completely 100% agree with the drummer. Unless you've got that backbone, that spine that's just locked in, then it's panic time. But and I'd say that I'd go as far to say as the whole rhythm section. Once the rhythm section's locked in together, that's when I'm really, really happy.
Yeah.
But
wait, I'm gonna just real quick. I gotta say thank you, Doug. Doug is the guitar player in my band on Commonwealth. So thank you, Doug.
Yes.
Big up, Doug. No, I would say for me, because obviously the album's finished and recorded and people listen to the music and listen to the tracks, when I do it live, I kind of like to put an extra something or other in there. But I kind of leave that to the band in a certain sense, because I like to get once we start rehearsing, especially with the keyboard player, Mark Walker, he's absolutely dynamite, and his feel is just ridiculous. So he's got that touch where it's not too much, it's not too little, it's just whatever he drops in there. It's different from the original but it fits with the original, and it pricks people's ears, and they go, "Oh my God, yeah, I can hear that." And what he does is always deadly, it's always deadly. But the whole band, even with the rhythm with Malcolm, he'll be dropping little licks in there that's just not going to be on the album, but they're just going to groove live. And I just cannot wait for this, especially on that big scale. Do you know what I mean? To hear it on that level, it's just going to be phenomenal. And hopefully within the year, then we've got plenty of other festivals coming up. It's something, because I get fed up. I know they're my songs, but I get fed up of listening to the same old shit. Do you know what I mean? It's just it's your music, and it doesn't get any better until you do it live, and you can add the other dimensions to it that you want to give the audience as well. And I love that. I think that's what keeps it interesting for me. It's like that new, it's like being a member of the audience. When Mark drops a certain line and you go, "Oh, that was dirty," don't we? It's that kind of thing. I love that in rehearsals.
Yeah, that is a lot of fun. I think that again, our purpose was to put you guys all together. And I think when you're on the same continent, whatever continent that is, and I think at some point you guys are both going to be in London. So I hope that you guys will meet up and see each other's live shows.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Stuff there to see that I know you will appreciate. And Malcolm Joseph, man, that guy is a 400-pound gorilla on the bass, and you can't help but, I mean, of course I'm appreciative of bass players, because being a drummer, it's like sometimes you just can't help but lock in to somebody because his pocket is so deep.
And, I mean, Malcolm is, his history within the industry just speaks for itself anyway, but he's such a lovely guy, and so soft and easy to get on with. But his pedigree is ridiculous, Massive Attack and Grace Jones, and the list is endless. And some of the early soul tracks that he did back in the early 80s and everything, they just, as CC was talking about, that pocket, the drums and the bass and that groove, which we all agree we don't get anymore. That's his forte. Unbelievable.
I want to jump in and ask a question, because Sage and I were talking about this, and I know you guys both, specifically CC and Matt, we've talked about this in the past, but she's got this R&B and soul root, but she's a pretty white girl from Southern California, and I know you guys both have something to say about this, because this is important to account for. But also, look, Adele. Nobody's complaining about Adele, because she does so well. So what are your thoughts, Matt, and then CC, about how Sage should approach this to be respectful of everybody in her art?
Go ahead, Matt.
Personally, I mean, I'm going to be brutally honest. I haven't had a chance to listen to the track or anything of Sage's yet. But the way you guys are bigging it up, I go by your judgment, because I trust, your musicality, and I know it's going to be good. So for me, I wouldn't even class Sage next to somebody like Adele, because Adele, for me, she's just like a cruise ship singer. She should be sat in a cocktail bar somewhere singing those kind of music. That's not R&B, that's not soul. So if you can carry the torch through, because we lost R&B in the 90s and we never got it back, and we want it back, we need it back. All these people that they're in R&B categories, it's just pop music with a touch of something in there. We need it back. We need that new jack back. We need that R&B back. We need it all back. And I was I listened to I managed to grab a track of CC's The Moment. See, that's what it's all at. That is to me, that is home. That is R&B home. You know what I mean? As soon as you put that kind of music on, that is what it is on the tin, R&B. Nowadays, it ain't there. So I'm really excited to listen to Sage as well. I really want to, because if you bigged it up, that R&B thing, I really want to, get stuck in with it, because it's lacking. We need it. We need it back,
Yeah. Well,
when do you think was the last time we had it?
The 90s.
Yeah.
The 90s. The 90s were sort of where you kind of had the Jill Scotts, the India Aries, and the Erykah Badu's. And when you had them, they were sort of carrying the torch for a while, but as we went into the new millennium, it just seemed to drop off into trash. Yeah. I just got to call it like it is,
And then I also don't think it's just the thing. I think it's more the production.
Yeah.
Got lost. because the singers are still there. It's the production and people like Teddy. There's no more Teddy Rileys anymore, and people don't know how to reproduce that sound.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
musical producers.
For sure. For sure.
I mean, Quincy Jones, God bless him. He doesn't have the legs that he used to. He doesn't have the endurance. He's an older guy, and we want to hang on to him as long as we can, but he's not prolific like he used to be.
Yeah.
So that's a whole lot to lump onto you, Sage. And I'm not going to ask you to solve the whole world's problems, but I'm certainly, I've taken a lot of influence in this conversation. I know you will too, but I want to ask you. So we've talked a lot about live performance, and I know that you have a strong live background, having gone to a performing arts program in high school. But when you hit the stage, how much are you reliant on tracks, and how much are you either doing or looking forward to doing shows with a live band?
Oh my gosh, I'm so looking forward to it. That's honestly one of the biggest reasons why I want to do this as a career. I love singing, I love music, I love creating and writing, but my biggest dream and goal is to just be able to tour. And that's what I'm the most excited for, to grow within in my career. But yeah, in terms of the first question, how much are you relying on tracks? A lot with my performing arts high school. The first couple of shows we didn't actually have in-ears for vocals. They didn't have them at the time. So it was just basically listening by ear to everyone around you, which could be hectic at times because sometimes the acoustics of just being a singer, and if the amps weren't set up the correct way, it was super hard to hear. Luckily, we developed and we got in ears for my last 2 years of the program, and that helped tremendously to be able to actually hear correctly what's going on and who's supposed to be playing and what I'm supposed to be hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about instrumentally? Do you play anything, or are you just up there with the microphone?
Yeah, I grew up playing piano. I self-taught myself guitar in high school. Now I'm mainly just a vocalist. That's really my strong suit. If I was in a room with a pianist and a guitarist, I would keep my mouth shut and say that I didn't play because I wouldn't want to embarrass myself. But to write music on my own, or if I'm in the studio with people, sometimes I'll lay some stuff
convey
down.
Ideas.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. That definitely a tool to put in the toolbox. With regard to playing in a live space with a live band, I mean, these guys are they're veterans with years and years behind them. But
I'm only 23. Can you believe it?
Man, I'm telling you.
It's funny to hear how much music and performance has changed, because I know that I'm old like these guys. When we were in school, there were no tracks. You had to make the music that was on stage with you, so that was just a part of it. I mean, you grew as a vocalist listening to that hodgepodge around you, because that was it. If you were lucky, you had that wedge by your foot and you had some kind of monitor, but usually not. And and you made it happen, or sometimes you made the best of it. So the technology helps, and it helps eke out a better performance. But there's something to be said.
The one thing I'll say about that, John, and it's beneficial for our age bracket, and the reason being is when we were younger and we didn't have it, and we just had normal box monitors and any kind of special effects sound that the keyboard player would have to play and all that kind of. We got ourselves to a level where we sounded great live. So now when we perform, anything extra is like an added bonus to add on to that, because we kind of still go through that rigmarole of making it sound good live, however we can. Once the live side of it's done, it's perfect, then we can add whatever we want to add on click, on track, or brass, or whatever you want to do. I think the problem we have nowadays is that young kids have grown into music already having that there, so they can become lazy, and I hope that doesn't happen. Instead of just kind of going straight into it, we need that live side of it to stay alive before it all gets too technical. you know, where we don't have drummers anymore. Go, oh, we don't worry about the drummer. We'll just put that on track. And I just don't want to see that happen, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, I'll jump
CC.
in for a sec. And because, you know, there's a difference between doing a live show and a track date. And when you're doing track dates, it's just you and a couple of monitors and you got the audience out there. But a lot of the track dates are because promoters say, well, we can pay you this, but we can't pay the band that.
Yeah.
So if we're going to be honest on the show, let's be honest on the show. The honesty to this is financial. A lot of it is because the promoters are trying to get the most with the money that they have. But if you say, hey, man, I need to fly me, 4 other musicians, then the promoter's like, whoa, wait. Well, we'll fly you and pay you. So bring the track date. So a lot of it nowadays is because of the finances, of the lack of putting musicians in hotels, feeding them, and those type of things. So that to me has changed the most.
Yeah.
More than anything else, it's because everybody's being cheaper on what they want to pay out.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, that speaks to a laziness that we've come into as, you know, as music fans. There aren't enough of us who say, hey, man, I know I got to shell out for a ticket because I want the whole band.
Right. It's slowly kind of creeping back in where people want to see the whole band, but you still, as you know, and as an independent for any young inspiring artist, there's going to be so much of the business side of it that you got to learn. It's going to be on you. They're going to say, well, if you want a band, then you have to have a business account. So you fly the band in and you take care of that, and we'll pay you and you pay your band out of what you get, because you're not just an artist anymore. As an independent artist, you're a businessman. So if you come into this game of music, you got to have business first. And whoever you have in your camp, you got to say, hey, look, I'm not just the artist, I'm the CEO too. So this is more than just getting out there and getting some people to clap for you and say yay, and then you got to pay the band $200 each, and you end up with $50 yourself because you promised to pay the band what you told them you were going to pay. So you got to really be smart to get in this independent business world of music, because it's business before music, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is such great advice, CC. And we had Vladimir Fung on the show the other day, and he's like 23 years old and plays the cello like a motherfucker. Like you cannot play it better than that cat. But he's got to invent his own product.
Yep.
He's like, I'm going to go out, I'm going to tour these concert halls. We saw, and Catherine Jenkins is not a big name here like she is. You know, she could sing for the Queen on her birthday in England, you know, because she's this Welsh lady who just can sing operatically incredibly. But she came to our hometown and sang in front of our symphony. And, you know, she got paid well. And she had a big old symphony behind her. So not just one French horn, but a whole mess of French horns and cellos and violas. And that show was better because the symphony was behind her and they could fill all that other space in that and just truly play the room. But that's the product she invented, to be able to go out and do that, to be able to go have the freedom to do anything that she wants to do, because she can tour internationally and go make that money.
Yep. It's the key. The key of it is you establish yourself, Sage, as a brand. And you know, and once you become that brand, and fortunately for me, you know, as Jon will tell you, he was around when I released my album in 2016. Well, here we are in 2022. Now that the brand is fully established, I can command, I need this, I need that, or else I'm not coming.
Totally.
So that's what you work on. You work on your brand, and then no one is going, when they call you, they already know what the price is. There's no, well, tell us what your fee is. No, you already know what my fee is.
There's certain attachments that come with #1 singles.
Yes.
Yeah. Matt, anything to add to this?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. It's somebody, I remember saying somebody when I was really young, when I was first getting into music, and they said, if you truly, truly love music, don't become a musician and don't do it for a living, because you will lose. You will lose, because it all becomes a business. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You lose the pleasure of what the reason you started doing whatever it is you do, whether you sing, whether you play the drums or piano. That magic that you first had when you first started doing it, once you do it for a living, not completely, I would say, but there is a percentage of it that gets sliced away because you think, shit, I don't want to. You got to play tonight. You got to play tomorrow. You got to do this, and that's what we're going to take that away from you, and we're having the percentage of that. And oh, remember, yeah, well, we're not doing that anymore. And it just, oh shit, it all goes. But one thing I will say about the live aspect, and going back to the track thing and the live music thing, is that I fear for the way music is transitioning so quickly over the generations. I fear that people are going to lose that magic of proper bands playing live.
Yep.
Like CC was saying from back in the day when you like the Rolling Stones, and you got like James Brown and all that. That was a live band, and the magic of that and the power of it when you saw it live. There's so much shit going on in the background nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's just getting more and more, and people, staff members are getting sacked more and more because it's all becoming so technology based and visual, and there's no rock and roll bands out there to just do a fuck off show and just blow the audience away, and people walk out going, shit, what a band. Nowadays it's all shit, God, did you see the pyrotechnics? Shit, did you see the visuals behind him? Shit. I think that a lot of people are too reliant on the shit that's surrounding them nowadays instead of just being brilliant. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Very true.
Instead of just being brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, James Brown was just fucking brilliant. Do you know what I mean? He didn't none of that.
Can you imagine James Brown doing a track date? Come on, man.
Come
on, man. Come on, man.
Exactly.
Come on,
sacrilege to even mention it.
That was just heart crushing right there. Why would you even say that?
I had to.
I feel like you just farted in church.
But on the lines of even if you go to Vegas, even if you go see an Adele, there's so much prepared shows. You don't even know if anyone's singing live anymore, man. You can't tell because you got everything sounding. You know what they say, man. If it sounds too perfect, it's fishy. Mm-hmm. When you go and see a live band, you don't hear anything other than the band and the singers. But now everything's coming out even. All the vocals are even because today's technology is sometimes you got to sequence this and sequence that and play live along with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's what technology said, because the audience are now used to your song sounding a certain way. So even though for me, I got to have singers, man. I got 3 ladies up there. And if you can't listen to them 3 ladies singing, then I'm the wrong guy. Because I got to have some real singers up on stage with me, So, but a track date, that's different. I get it. You want to hear that, but if it comes to live performance, people look at me like I'm crazy, man. You got 9 people on stage with you. No, I'm not crazy.
Yeah,
that's the way it is. That's how it should be.
Sage, do you have any conditions like that? Like, nope, you want to hear me live, you gotta put up with this. What is?
Not yet, but for sure.
Yeah. Time to establish some. I can't wait to see what it is that you can. Well, if you go see Sage, this is what you're going to see.
Seriously.
Yeah. Good. Well, let's. We're sort of rounding third base on this thing, and I want to button this up in a way that that gives people the inspiration to listen to your stuff. Let me ask you first, Sage, since you're center stage right now. What are you writing about? What matters to you that you want to convey to people?
Well, actually, I knew I could sing my whole life, but I had actually never written a song until I decided to drop out of college to pursue music. And I was like, okay, shit, now I actually have to learn this. learn this tool and figure it out. And it wasn't until I got my heart broken, which is a very typical thing to write about, that I, suddenly was like, oh, this is how I navigate my songwriting, and I figured out what works for me. And throughout the past 2 to 3 years, that's pretty much been the premise, has just been my love life, my relationships with people. That is basically how I cope with what I'm thinking and what I'm dealing with. I write it out through songs. But now it's taken my music has finally taken a beautiful turn, because now I'm in a good relationship and I'm actually able to write happy love songs, which I'm super excited about, because all my music in the past is depressing. But
just inspiring in a different way.
Totally, yeah. So happy inspirations now.
All right. CC, how about you, man? What's moving you right now? What message do you want to put in the world to people?
There's nothing greater for me than to be honest. So if I see something that affects me or affects my family or affects my love life, I'm going to write about that. But I also always try to include, it could be better. It could be better than this. So, when Marvin Gaye wrote the song, the classic "What's Going On," that's what you call the ultimate honesty. So for me, it's more important to be honest about Cornell, about CC. If I'm happy, if I'm in love, if I'm not in love. But the one thing that I get asked in every interview is, CC, you got 5 albums and you don't have one melancholy song on none of them. Because that's not where I am.
That's not you.
You know me, man.
I'm baby makers.
I'm not into the melancholy. That's not. I don't roll that way. So it's inspiration, especially someone who gospel and R&B and blues. If you can't do anything with your voice, allow someone to feel better after they listen to you.
Oh, there's a nugget of wisdom right there. Yeah, your voice, your instrument, your performance, no matter what it is,
they should feel better. They should feel better. They say when you leave the world a little bit better than how it looked when you came into it.
Wow.
So I use my writing ability with that, because there's enough sadness to go around for everybody. But I ain't going there.
See, CC just come dropping bombs everywhere. Look at that.
Yeah. How do you follow that, Matt?
Go ahead, Matt. You got
it. Anyways, I can only second what CC has said. I mean, you guys know how much I love a story and a topic of interest. You know what I mean? And I think they all kind of stem around to people's well-being and life and love and relationships. I mean, I am a sucker for a sad song. I am a sucker for a sad love song, but that's just where I am. I think it stems from my own personal relationships in life, and also the music that you've listened to growing up, what influences you. Obviously being heavily influenced by George Michael, I love going down that road of the old kind of tearjerker and pulling people's emotions there. But then I also love writing stuff like Happy, which is mentally like a firework. It really helps people. It's positive. It's positivity. And I think they all can help people in different ways at different times. And I think, like CC said, as long as you leave that mark, I feel like you've done your job then as a songwriter.
Are we going to hear a song from you and DC Lee soon, Matt?
I don't think so.
I
don't think so. Well, yeah, I mean, we kind of lost touch after the last interview. It kind of got a bit awkward. Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. But you never know. You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
You may hear one from me and Jocelyn Brown.
Okay. I'll take that too.
And Lamar as well. Sorry, Lamar as well. I'm writing a track for Lamar.
Okay. There you go.
That's a never-ending story.
Who are you looking at working with?
Me?
Yeah.
There's a jazz singer named Kathy Cousins who I'm probably going to do a duet with when the right track comes through. But there's a singer who been a part of my shows, and I've been a part of her life, and her name is Nate Soul Singer. And so I'm currently writing a song right now for her and I to do a duet. So I'm looking forward to doing more collaborations and more duets with phenomenal female vocalists. Sage, did you hear that? And so I'm kind of branching out into doing some duets.
Terrific.
Nice.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I have this thing. I'm hoping it works. I think I downloaded it again. Should I try it again?
Let's hear it.
All right, let's see if we can do this. World debut.
Contemplating getting over you. I know it's the right thing to do, but it just seems so useless because
I think that's all we got. But download problem. Damn it!
That was super sped up.
Well, that's a good teaser. Everybody, look out for Sage Logan, her debut single that we tried to debut here. It's terrific. You're going to love it. It's going to be on all the download platforms. Look for that. CC is... What's that?
Pre-save the song. There's a pre-save link that I can put below.
Oh, yeah.
But that would help a lot.
All right.
Save.
We'll do that.
Thank you.
And then also CC will be back in England later this year with a lot of performances all throughout Europe. I'm sure you could keep your eyes open for him. And Matt is launching into festivals this spring. So keep your eyes and ears open for all three of these gentlemen. I love you guys for a long time. You're, tremendous singers. Sage, very, very glad to meet you. And I'm really excited about what you have for us and really looking forward to your stuff as well. So yeah.
Nice to meet you all. Thanks for having us.
You too, guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah. All right, stand by for 1 sec. Hey, thanks for watching the show. I really appreciate it. Right here, you can subscribe. Please do that. It makes the show grow. Hit that notification bell so you know which incredible guest is coming up next. Down below is the PayPal link. You can put a small subscription in. That is an enormous help. All that money goes right back into the show. And then right up over here are the next episodes you should listen to, curated by yours truly. Thank you so much.